Things are starting to heat up again over at Netflix. Guys, because in the coming period, the platform isn't just preparing to make noise with brand new projects, but also with the return of shows that have attracted massive audiences for years. And on top of that, some of these projects are coming back with their final seasons, while others could mark the beginning of a completely new era. Netflix really seems to be gearing up for some hugely talked about releases in the near future. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the 5 biggest shows Netflix is bringing back, along with all the new season details. The Money Heist universe, brand new project. Netflix just dropped a massive bombshell for Money Heist fans. According to the official announcement, the Money Heist universe is far from over. In fact, it's expanding. Now, we don't have an exact title, release date, or full plot details just yet, but Netflix stating that the Money Heist universe continues is a huge deal on its own. Casa de Papel was a global juggernaut for Netflix, and it still holds a massive spot among their most-watched non-English series of all time. One of the juiciest details here is that the professor was featured in the teaser. Because of that, it makes way more sense that this project goes way beyond just a second season of Berlin. Sure, Berlin is already doing its own thing, but this feels like a much bigger universe play. It seems like Netflix wants to recapture that authentic Money Heist magic, the masterclass heist plans, the intense mind games, and that high-stakes character tension. Personally, what I'm most curious about is whether this will be a direct sequel to the main storyline, or if we're getting a completely new spin-off led by the professor. Some rumors suggest it might focus on an older heist pulled off by the professor in Berlin in the past, but honestly, I think that's a long shot. I bet Netflix is working on a project that pushes the story forward, pulling the professor and some of the surviving legacy characters back into the game. And to be completely honest, this is easily one of my most anticipated Netflix projects. Money Heist wasn't just a robbery show. With its iconic characters, music, masks, brilliant strategies, and emotional beats, it became a literal global phenomenon. If Netflix nails this comeback giving us a powerful, fresh story, instead of just relying on pure nostalgia, this project could break the internet. For me, the most exciting timeline is seeing the professor take charge of a brand new or remaining crew for a completely different and way more dangerous master plan. The Night Agent, final season. Another massive return hitting Netflix is The Night Agent. According to official Tudum updates, the show is coming back for season 4, and this will officially be Peter Sutherland's final mission. Netflix is explicitly framing this as the final season. Gabriel Basso is back as Peter, and the cast is getting stacked with new faces, like Abigail Breslin, Annabeth Gish, David Denman, Titus Welliver, Lee Jun Lee, Trevante Rhodes, and Elizabeth Lail. This tells me one thing. The final season isn't going to be some small-scale assignment. We're looking at a massive, world-altering event that will completely redefine Peter's career and probably his life. From day one, the Night Agent thrived on political conspiracies, espionage, betrayal, and relentless, high-octane action. But with this being the final season, the stakes have to be sky-high. It feels like Peter won't just have to complete the mission, he'll have to choose his ultimate path. I absolutely love this show. I binged the first 3 seasons with insane hype, and honestly, I finished almost every season in a single sitting. This wasn't a show I could just space out over weeks. Once I hit play, it completely hooked me and kept me guessing. Watching Peter Sutherland constantly fall into deeper conspiracies, while stubbornly refusing to back down, makes this incredibly watchable for me. Of course, knowing season 4 is the end is a bit bittersweet. I felt like The Night Agent could have run a little longer, exploring bigger stories, different countries, and darker conspiracies. On the flip side, sometimes it's better to wrap a show up beautifully while it's still great, rather than dragging it out until it loses its spark. If Netflix delivers this final season with top-tier action, a bulletproof conspiracy, and a satisfying conclusion, The Night Agent will go down as one of the cleanest endings on the platform. Outer Banks, final season. Outer Banks is another major teen adventure series coming to an end. According to Tudum, filming for season 5 wrapped in Charleston, and the final season is officially hitting Netflix. This season marks the absolute last ride for the Pogues. John B., Sarah, Kiara, Pope, JJ, and Cleo's treasure hunts, dangerous enemies, and endless adventures will all wrap up in one massive final chapter. The absolute best part of Outer Banks has always been that raw sense of adventure. The treasure hunts, the tight-knit friendships, the summer aesthetic, the high-stakes escapes, and the youth energy made it such an easy, comforting watch. But since it's the final season, the story needs to be more than just chasing another artifact. It's going to be crucial to see these characters actually grow up, face the consequences of their choices, and see where the Pogues ultimately end up. Now, I watched the first 3 seasons, and overall, I thought it was pretty solid. It was fun, casual, and easy to watch. But when season 4 dropped, I checked out after a couple of episodes and never really went back. Maybe I just binged too much of it at once and started getting a bit burnt out. So, I haven't actually finished season 4 yet, and I don't have a definitive take on season 5. But once the final season drops, I'll most likely catch up on season 4 and binge season 5 to see the whole thing through. Outer Banks isn't the kind of show I absolutely have to watch the minute it drops. It's more of a comfort show I put on when I'm bored or have some downtime. And that's not a bad thing at all. Sometimes you just need an entertaining, sun-soaked, easygoing show. With the final season here, I definitely want to see how this entire journey wraps up. Emily in Paris, final season. Another massive hit wrapping things up with the final season is Emily in Paris. Official announcements confirm the show will conclude with season 6, and production is already underway. Lily Collins will be back as Emily Cooper, and this time, the story is taking us on a wild ride through Greece and Monaco before finally circling back to Paris. So we aren't just staying in France. Expect plenty of travel, high fashion, romantic drama, and stunning locations. After 5 seasons, Emily's life left us with a ton of question marks, both romantically and professionally. Her relationship with Marcello, her deep ties to Paris, Mindy's own love life, and the chaotic developments over at Agents Grotto are all set to find closure in this final stretch. Judging by the details shared on Tudum, this season won't just be about her new adventures, it's going to show us where Emily truly belongs. Look, I don't treat Emily in Paris like some heavy, high-stakes, deep prestige drama. It's a sweet, fun, vibrant comfort watch. It's the perfect show to pull up for a couple of episodes when you just want to unwind. The fashion, the city backdrops, the messy romance, and the over-the-top lifestyles make it incredibly easy to watch. Because of that, I'm genuinely curious about the final season. This story needs a proper destination. Is Emily going to stay in Paris forever? Will she choose a completely different life? Who wins her heart, and where does her career end up? The final season needs to answer all of this. Emily in Paris might not be a cinematic masterpiece, but it's incredibly fun and loved for what it is. I'm hoping for a stylish, elegant, and satisfying send-off. Ginny and Georgia, Season 4. The last major comeback on this list is Ginny and Georgia, Season 4. According to Tudum, the official theme for this season is cycles and origins. This tells us the new episodes will dive deep into Georgia's past, her family roots, and the exact events that molded her into who she is today. Plus, the synopsis makes it clear that even though Georgia beat the murder charges, her life is nowhere near back to normal. The Miller family is heading right into another massive crisis. Georgia is pregnant, and she has no idea who the father is. The family is struggling financially all over again, and Georgia's dark past is clawing its way back to the surface. Meanwhile, Ginny is desperate to break this endless cycle of chaos. Things won't be any easier for Austin either. Tudum teased that this season will put him in a him-against-the-world situation. When I first started Ginny and Georgia, I'll admit I was incredibly skeptical. I went in thinking, this isn't going to be my thing, but let's see if I can get some quick content out of it for the channel. But the more I watched, the more it completely won me over. On the surface, it looks like a basic teen drama, but underneath, it's a much more layered show dealing with family trauma, crime, dark secrets, mother-daughter dynamics, comedy, and heavy drama all at once. My absolute favorite part of the show is how it constantly catches you off guard. It's not a pure comedy, and it's not a pure drama. It blends both beautifully. One minute it's lighthearted and fun, and the next, you're hit with some incredibly heavy elements from the characters' pasts. That's why I'm genuinely excited for Season 4. Getting more insight into Georgia's backstory, watching Ginny try to break the generational curse, and seeing how the Miller family navigates this next crisis is going to be incredibly compelling. For me, the absolute biggest question mark is how the Money Heist universe is going to make its grand return. Right next to that, The Night Agent's final season holds a special place. But every single show on this list has a massive, dedicated fan base, whether it's for teen adventure, romantic comedy, or dark family drama with a twist. But what about you guys? Which of these returns are you hyped for the most? Drop a comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. I'll see you guys in the next video.